canned soup.
And there's a 2-for-1 deal. Thanks, Dad.
You're welcome.
Do you love me?
Do you love me?
That would be a bad commercial. It would be. I gotta admit, that would be a really bad commercial.
So, a near death of a shot incident that I want to share. But before we get into it, let's encourage people to do the iTunes download and the iTunes review thing.
Yes.
Here's the thing. Weird Al released a lot of songs.
He released like 8 songs last week.
And they're all on the comedy chart.
He's at the top of the charts on iTunes. We need to dethrone Weird Al. We love Weird Al, but let's dethrone him. We got one song that's got to get to the top.
Yeah, so what that just means you need to, buy the song and leave a review. I know we've said this before.
And a rating.
Leave a rating and a review on iTunes when you download the song. It's a great way to support us, and it really does help it move up the comedy charts. Let's see if we can get to number 1.
And I will say, we packed as much bass into this song as we have ever packed into a song. It's one thing to just have it on your laptop there. You can finish that, it would be great.
Sorry.
It's one thing to just have it on your laptop. It's another thing to put this into your vehicle, where I'm sure you've got like a subwoofer that is just unparalleled. And this is window shaking, trunk shaking bass opportunity here that we have given you with this song, okay? I'm not kidding. So
he's not kidding.
Not kidding at all, dude, but you gotta download it. Okay?
And thank you for doing that ahead of time if you've already done it. Behind the time if you've already done it, ahead of time if you're about to do it.
But like we said, we had to get a professional sand sculptor to come out and build this sand castle and then tear it down. And I was talking to the guy, I can't remember the name of the people who did it, but they got paid, so it's okay. And
do you remember their names, Stevie? Can you?
Archasand? Archasand, okay.
How you spell that?
Now they got free promotion.
Arch-O-Sand?
Archasand.
Archasand.
So
one word.
We got him to do it, and after he finished, I was like, so this is the quickest sandcastle you've ever made, right? The shortest lived sandcastle you've ever made. He's like, no, we do this all the time. I'm like, you make sandcastles for TV, film, and video that get destroyed as soon as you get finished making them? He's like, yeah, all the time.
And then it occurred to me, we should have known that. For the reason that we decided to do it, there's lots of people who are, if you're gonna build a sandcastle and you're gonna shoot it, the best thing to memorialize is not the castle, it's the destruction of the castle.
Right, but I just couldn't I can't think of a scene in which a sandcastle gets destroyed.
True. That's true.
I mean, I'm sure you will point it out in the comments, but I can't think of it offhand.
But we only have one shot at destroying the castle because we weren't going to get them to rebuild the thing. We didn't have the luxury of time or budget to do that. So we had to be very calculated in what the shot was going to look like. And since we were shooting on a Red camera, we only had one camera, so it's not like we could shoot it from 2 or 3 different angles.
But we did make the decision to shoot it with a backup camera. Another camera that we have that also shoots in 4K, but it's a Lumix, it's a much cheaper camera. And we were like, let's shoot it from the same angle, basically recreate the shot, just in case something happens. Now we've done a lot of different videos and we've never had a file issue. We've never had an issue where a file got corrupted, but it's always a possibility when you're shooting digital video that something will happen and you won't be able to access the file. So we were like, okay, well, just because we paid the money for this thing and we don't have any other opportunity to rebuild it, let's just get a backup shot of it.
And then at the last minute, we had this discussion. It was like, well, let's just take this camera that we're setting up as backup camera and let's shoot an alternate angle. That might help the edit. I mean, what's gonna happen to the Red anyway? I mean, let's do that. And then we were like, There was a beat where we were like, that would be cool. And then, my mind starts to wondering, okay, we can shoot it from this angle, and then it'll add the edit in this way.
But then we said,
and then I'm really tempted.
We didn't script another angle. There's not a place for it in the edit. Let's just shoot it as a backup shot. We got the camera. Let's just go with plan A. Let's not overthink it. Let's just do it. So then we call action. Mike jumps in with a football, completely destroys the thing except for one little turret. Basically, well, first of all, The guy told us, the Arch of Sand guy told us, this is gonna be like jumping on a pile of bricks because it's so packed. In fact, he built this the initial like middle part of the sandcastle that he carved the middle turret out of. And he said, this sand right here in this thing like this big weighs 1 ton, 2,000 pounds, because it's so packed in and it's got water in it. And so it's just so dense. But apparently the castle had been done for a couple of hours and so it had dried out. So that's why when he hits the sandcastle, it's basically just, it's like a pillow. He just like, goes poof. Right through it.
Yeah, which was perfect for us, you know?
But then after he jumps into it, he messes it up and then he does his dance to kind of further destroy it. We're like, cut, and then we hear from camera,
well, Ben takes us to the side, and it's never good when you're supposed to be celebrating, all of a sudden Ben comes up, and he's like, guys, let's come over here, and then and I'm like, oh no, he's pulling us to the side, and
I thought he was gonna be like, the camera wasn't rolling. I thought he was gonna say, even though I know that wasn't gonna be the case, but I kind of thought he was gonna say something like that.
But he said, guys, the camera died in the middle of the shot. Like died. Like black, flat line. And what had happened is the battery had died, which is kind of a...
Always check your battery. But in the defense of whoever was keeping up with the battery, it can sometimes go from like half full to empty on the red sometimes. That's something that happens sometimes.
And then when we put a new battery in and you try to watch the footage back to know when it died, we couldn't watch that clip at all because it didn't create the ending of the clip properly. It didn't stop recording. Right. But then...
But our Steadicam operator, Aaron, said, guys, this has happened to me many different times. You're not gonna be able to access the file, but you'll be able to get it back on the computer. But
in the meantime, we looked at the backup and we did capture a usable shot in the backup.
It wasn't
camera.
as good, but
it wasn't as good, but we had a backup.
But long story short, we did get the file back, so we still have not suffered a catastrophic file loss. But that would have been like the worst ever. It was the only shot ever that was. It was the most expensive.
It's a lesson learned.
Most expensive shot, probably. One shot.
Yeah, that's
ever.
True. That's true.
And then we had one take at it.
So lesson learned: shoot a backup. Even though we didn't need it, we came as close as you can come to needing it without needing it. And so learn from us, budding filmmakers.
Oh, and there's a little girl that came up to us while we were standing next to the sandcastle, and she said,
she was about 6 years old.
She was like, "Wow, who did this?" And I was like, "We did." And I went on to tell her that we've been doing it for 30 years, and I can't help but lie to little kids. I'm sorry. This is what I do because
she asked a follow-up question and there was a big lie with that.
I kept going with it. But I was also kind of in character because in the character of the video, I was the guy that built the sandcastle. So I was kind of in character.
She was like, how long will it last? Or how long did it take to build it?
How long did it take?
And we said
48 hours. Went out there nonstop for 2 days. So listen, little girl, I don't know if you're watching, but I'm sorry, that was all dishonest. It was really Arch of Sand. We paid them. But you don't want to know that. You want to carry on this is like Santa Claus, who's real, by the way.
And he's really fat when you do him on the sand.
Santa Claus is very real. It's very real.
When you sculpt him out of sand, he's large.
Mm-hmm.